Yo, what's good? So throughout the world of rock climbing, there are an immense amount of holds that you can use for rock climbing, but there's a good 6 or 7 of them that really hold the spotlight. And just like any other person, I'm going to be putting them in a tier list and telling you which one is the best and which one is the worst. First one up, and arguably one of the best, is jugs. Jugs, in my opinion, is one of the best. I mean, I am a very dynamic climber, so I love jumping from jug to jug. You get what I'm saying. They're freaking easy to hang on to, especially when you get up to V9, V10 climbing. You just never see jugs anymore unless it's some kind of 10 feet dyno that you somehow have to land on the jug for. Because of that, I'm putting it in S tier. Next one we have up, and is probably one of the most painful holds in the world. No, it's not crimps, it's slopers. Slopers can be absolutely diabolical, especially if they're just caked in chalk and you try to put your hand on it and it just slips right off. Like it's actually like terrible. I will admit though, there are some slopers that are fairly nice to hang on to and pretty satisfying when you do get that actual grab onto it and you can like actually hang on to a dang sloper. And because of that, I think I'm putting it in C tier. Next we have freaking underclings. Now I wouldn't even say a love-hate relationship with underclings because you have to literally have so much tension onto the wall. Plus I have an injured shoulder, so for me, underclings would literally injure my shoulder even more because it's putting so much stress on it. I might be harsh on my judgment, but I'm making it an F tier for underclings. Alright, the next one we have is pockets, and this one can be kind of argumentative because I feel like I'm kind of doing a hot take and putting it in A tier. Look, yes, pockets are very much like crimps, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of more of a static climber. I prefer dynoing and being very dynamic, but the thing is I'm better at static climbing, and I feel like you see crimpy like pockets a lot when you get to the higher levels of climbing, and I kind of like them. They're kind of like mini jugs. Because of that, I am putting in A tier, but I have a feeling that you guys might disagree. Next one, speaking of pockets being like crimps, we got crimps. Now, I have a really love-hate relationship with crimps. The only crimps I like are the ones that you can barely hang on to, because when you have like 2 millimeters that you're just like barely hanging on to with your fingers, you feel like such like a crazy freaking monkey boy on the wall, barely hanging on to these little crimps. The reason that it's getting bumped up into A tier is because of the cool factor, because when you're actually climbing on crimps, yes, it's freaking painful and it feels terrible, but like you look kind of cool with like freaking holding on to these little itty bitty holds somehow holding you up on the wall. And then we have something which I wasn't really sure if I should mark it as a hold or not, and that is volumes. Now, I feel like volumes are more or less an attachment of the wall. That's kind of what they classify it as, because a lot of times they put holds on the volume, right? Like, I feel like when they try to put a volume on the wall to use it as a hold, like that's just terrible, because half the time they're made out of wood, half the time like chalk doesn't stick on them, they're freaking flat, you have to somehow like move around them. Because of that, I'm putting it in B tier. Now, the only reason it's not going in D or F is honestly because you can sit on volumes half the time. At least in my gym, we have a big square volume and they put it up there and you can sit on top of it. Obviously, it could be different in your guys' gym, but that's just my opinion on it. But I know I have quite a odd opinion on every single one, but I think every single one of us kind of have our own opinion on what we like, especially if we are a dynamic climber or a static climber. But I think the conclusion of this video is jugs are the #1 hold in rock climbing, and if you can somehow prove me wrong, I literally want to see it, because like what other better hold is there? Like it's just so nice to hang on to. It's literally like a ladder on the wall. But yeah, see you guys next week. Cheers.